Now that we are all present, rooted in being, I can go on and begin to talk about today's guest. But before I do that, I'd like to read to you two brief passages from this book. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. Here's a passage, it's very brief, describing someone stepping from being identified with the stream of thinking and problem making in the middle of the night, stepping out of that just for a very brief moment into a totally different dimension of consciousness, into presence. And so the experience of stepping out of that very brief it was like those times when I can't sleep and I'm thrashing in bed, hot and sweaty and wound in a knot of feverish mental activity. A thought enters like a prayer. Go outside. Walk out the front door and look at the sky. Just for a minute. Listen to the night. If I can rouse myself from the hypnotic trance of what's wrong, I throw a sweater on, pad to the door, and step into the vault of night. Coolness, silence, a million points of glitter. Heart beats once, twice, 3 times. The mind sloughs its frenzy, merges with the expanse. Dazzled by a world that bears no resemblance to the one of 10 minutes ago, the one I perpetually construct in my head, I slip back into the house as if I, too, am a pinpoint of luster from the boundless dimension, padding along some strange hallway, disappearing with each step until I fall back asleep. And here a brief passage about the surrender and what happens when you do surrender. Of this I am certain. Something happens every time I stop fighting with the way things are. Something happens to every one of my students when they stop running their familiar programs about fear and deficiency and emptiness. I don't know what to call this turn of events or the freshness that follows it, but I know what it feels like. It feels like relief. It feels like infinite goodness, like a distillation of every sweet fragrance, every heart-stopping beauty, every haunting melody you've ever heard. It feels like the essence of tenderness, compassion, joy, peace, like love itself. And in the moment you feel it, you recognize that you are it, and that you've been here all along, waiting for your return. When you forget, which you always do, you suddenly understand that kindness to anyone, a plant, an animal, a stranger, a partner, brings you closer to this. That taking care of your body is taking care of this. That taking care of the earth is taking care of this. And that you would turn away from anything or anyone that asked you to leave this, because this is what you've wanted, this is what you've longed for, this is what you've loved for eons. You know, without knowing how you know, that every step you've ever taken, every person you've ever loved, every task you've ever accomplished has been this, meeting this. You returning to yourself. And that hell is nothing more than leaving this. Heaven is already here on earth. So the book I was reading from is Women, Food and God, #1 New York Times bestseller. The author is today's guest, Geneen Roth. So please, Geneen, come up. So that was just wonderful to listen to that, and just two brief passages. My only regret is that men don't get to read this book, because it seems... So I highly recommend it also to men. Oh, and my other regret is that women who don't have a problem with food may not read it. They should too. So this is interesting. In this book, the entry point into the spiritual dimension is what for many people is a problem in their lives, and that is an addiction or a compulsive behavior. In this case, it's eating food, and you provide an answer to that here, which is very different from what usually one expects when one talks about losing weight. The answer, of course, is awareness. Awareness. Compulsive behavior cannot exist for long in the presence of awareness. That's how I would put it. So perhaps you can talk a little bit about that connection. Of course, you've had a lot of experience in your own life. You have also had compulsion with eating and so on, but I'm saying too much already, so I'll let you talk a little bit.
No, I don't think you're saying too much. I love listening to you. In my own life,